Hello, my name is Muhammad Ali Sulaiman. I'm a certified project manager. My experience in project management more than 13 years. I led more than 23 projects in different countries, more than 15 countries across three continents. I'm going to go through a project management life cycle with you and give you a glance about it. So let's start. Hope you can see my screen. Okay. First, we will start with the key aspects and the key elements for project management or the core streams. Project management consists of plan, initiation phase, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and then finally closure. These are bounded by certain constraints key aspects for the project. We can see on the right-hand side time, cost, and scope. These are the project management triangle, and in the core and in the heart of this triangle, which is quality. So the scope mainly what to be done, the time, the deadlines for deliverable, milestone, and the schedule. And of course, this is the budget and our resources. And finally, the quality, the standards, and expectation. Going to next slide. The phases, we can see we have five phases, starting with the initiation phase, defining the high-level project, then planning, establishing the scope, deliverable, and the procedure, then execution, implementing the plan which we have created earlier in the planning phase, coordinate people resources, and then monitoring and control, start tracking the performance, the progression, and make the adjustments and the changes according to what's needed. And finally, we have um, the closure phase, finalizing all the activities, all the deliverable, making deliverable handover, and finally, the most important, um, milestone is to create the lesson learned, what have been done correctly, what went in wrong direction, and how we already overcome these. That's the lesson learned for further projects in the same pattern. We'll start with the initiation phase. As we speak in the last slide, we were talking about defining the high level for the project on high level. So we expect in this phase to see a project charter development for all, um, including all the activities, including high level everything in the project, stakeholder identification, feasibility study, and initial risk assessment at the beginning. But this risk assessment will be evolved and developed while we are moving forward. So we are expecting here from this initiation phase as an outcome project charter, which is a high level for the project, and preliminary project scope statement. Moving forward after initiation, as we talked earlier, planning and execution. So from planning, we expect to establish the roadmap for the project, including defining scope, what to be done, as we mentioned earlier, developing work breakdown structure. Um, so the high level scope should be breakdown into work breakdown structure into smaller activities, and these activities will be bounded by time, by resources following on, scheduling planning, resource planning, and risk management. That's what the knowable risk and how what is the risk strategy to overcome these risks, and finally creating the budgeting plan. That's for planning process. On the right side, we can see planning process outcome. What are being what the activities to be done in that phase, and in the execution phase, we are going to execute the project plan which we created in the planning phase. We are going to do the task assignment, then team coordination in the execution. Uh, Progress tracking will start in that phase, and for sure, stakeholder communication, one of the most important aspects in this execution phase. In the phase 4 and 5, 4 related to monitoring and control. Monitoring and control, that's performance assessment, performance measurement, what we done against the standard or against the goals. For sure, the deliverable should be in the control limit. So here there is some introduction for KPIs and the KQIs, key performance indicator, to indicate to us if we achieved our deliverable, we met the requirement or not. Another important aspect, which is the change management. What about if we are deviating in our deliverable, then what we should do? So we have a change management, how we initiate change requests, how we implement change requests, which that's in the monitoring and control phase. For sure, quality control, we can take samples, we can assess the samples against what is required, and we can apply risk mitigation if the knowable risk which we identified earlier, if we started to find these kind of risks. So we will apply the risk strategy if accepting, excluding according to what we already did in the risk assessment earlier. And are going to do that reporting through dashboards, through visualization. That's a very important stage. And whenever we are having some failure, we will refer to risk assessment, risk analysis. We will apply changes to return to the optimum outcome as we expect from deliverable requirements earlier. And finally, project closure, complete all the project deliverable which we created at the beginning according to customer requirement. So we are going to here a final deliverable handover, project documentation, assessment for the project, what went well, what these aspects that need to be improved, stakeholder approval, because whenever we are delivering something, we need to make sure that it's being well recognized and approved by stakeholder, which we already created earlier in stakeholder analysis. And finally, release the resources. Before releasing resources, there is a very important aspect to document lesson learned. What went well, what to be improved, because whenever we are applying similar projects within similar scope, we can refer to this lesson learned to save time, to save resources, to make a good use of this lesson learned. So that's all for the project management life cycles, initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and finally closure. And at this stage, we will start with question and answer.